Hey guys, so tomorrow Endgame actually officially releases in Australia, and I'm watching it in less than 24 hours. But I have a lot of questions going up into it that I just want to get off my chest before I watch it and actually find out if any of them are true. And I do have a couple of predictions. But as I'm going through this, and if I happen to be right, potential spoilers, so feel free to avoid this video if you want to. Alright, I'm just going to run through the questions really quick, and here it is. What's up with Red Skull? I don't know why or where he just came out from. I actually was going to do a video, I had the script written up and everything about like missing characters in the MCU. And I think I did a couple, but I did some more like villains that were still out there, and Red Skull was one of them. And I was surprised when he came up in Infinity Wars. I had no idea that he was actually going to show up. And when he did, I was thinking, but why is he here? Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he like some sort of ward or herald or something like Silver Surfer? Why has he got that cape on? And how does he know how to fly and all this stuff? And how does he know all these things about the Soul Stone? Has anyone actually attempted or actually succeeded in getting it? I have no idea why he's there, but obviously he's there for a reason, and I'm not sure if he's still bad or if he's still trying to pursue the stones or more power. I just don't know. Like, now that the Soul Stone's gone, or Thanos has it, does it mean that he's released from his covenant? There's a lot of questions there. I have no idea what he's doing, but it's possible that he might keep having some sort of agenda. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Next question. Does Cap lift Thor's old hammer or his new axe? Now, back in Age of Ultron, we actually saw a small glimpse and a small glimmer of hope that Cap can actually lift Thor's hammer up. Now, this, freaked the crap out of him as well, but does this mean that he's worthy? And I think that's the whole point, that out of all the Avengers, Cap's probably the second most worthy to actually lift Thor's hammer, besides probably Vision, which I think is pretty incredible. Now, some people are theorizing that Cap will actually lose his abilities or his strength, or the super soldier serum will actually deteriorate when he's going to fight Thanos, and what happens if he reverts back to his old age? I recently watched the first Captain America movie, and I was realizing, hang on, none of the actual Avengers have actually seen Steve Rogers when he was small, or before the super soldier serum. The only person that's actually seen him like that would be the Winter Soldier, would be Bucky. So I'm not sure if he would just revert back, and if they just decide to lose hope, or they think it's hopeless, and he just picks up Thor's hammer or his axe or something. I have no idea. They might be doing some time traveling. I found it kind of strange that, Thor went on this whole journey about not relying on his hammer, then he gets an axe. So if they use the time vortices in the quantum realm to go back in time, and Thor has no need for a hammer because he has a new axe, does this mean that Thor can use it? I have no idea. Alright, next question. And this is actually kind of important because I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I'm not really sure if they're going to address this at all, or if this is even relevant. But is the super soldier serum derived from the heart-shaped herb? Because in the same movie, in Captain America the First Avenger, they also introduced vibranium. This is where he gets his shield. And vibranium's incredibly hard and rare to come by, only found in Wakanda. So since they got vibranium, does this mean they also got parts of the heart-shaped herb or something like that? Because the effects are somewhat similar. They both give the user increased strength, speed, heightened senses and instincts, all that stuff. I remember watching like Captain America and Black Panther running off, charging the battle at Infinity Wars on Wakanda, and they're both kind of similar. So I'm just wondering if this is somehow derived, just purely because vibranium was introduced as early as the First Avenger, and obviously it's been a staple of Captain America for a long time. But I just think it's kind of strange, considering how hard it is to come by vibranium. Okay, now here we're getting into some really tinfoil stuff, but I'm thinking this could very much be true. Alright, does vibranium come from Vormir, where the Soul Stone is kept? Now, just if you're going to think about this, right, how in the world does eating a herb that's been infused with elements from a metal, like an incredibly rare substance found on Earth, how does that herb give you not only increased abilities, but also visions or an spiritual experience that's unique to every user? For instance, when T'Challa uses it twice, he both times visits his father, and he sees other Panthers or other previous people that he may not have ever seen before, but yet they're there in some sort of plane, some sort of field. Alright, when Killmonger uses it, alright, he doesn't see any of that. In fact, he sees the apartment that he grew up in. He sees his dad, and his dad even says that he is abandoned or lost, like he's separated from everyone else that he grew up with. Apparently in the spirit world, even if you look outside the window, it's still sort of got this aurora spiritual feel to it. And when Thanos apparently uses it in Infinity Wars, where does he end up? He's apparently just on some river. I think it was supposed to be blood, but I think they turned it down. but he sees Child Gamora the first time he sees Gamora, including the iconic archway that they meet and they discuss balance over, so I should say under. So I'm thinking that this soul world, spirit world is incredibly useful, and I think it's incredibly important for the upcoming movie. I also think that it's going to relate heavily with Tony Stark. The Russos have said themselves that he is the heart and soul of the MCU, but I also think that it might have something to do with like Cap and Tony, like their relationship between each other. And I didn't think there was any mistake that they brought up the whole sacrifice ritual thing for the Soul Stone's respect. I don't think that was there as a throwaway. I think that's incredibly important. That might be how they win in Infinity Wars. Sorry, how they win in Endgame. But if we're going to accommodate the fact that the vibranium on Wakanda actually came from Vormir, from the Soul Stone itself, this could actually make sense as a big picture thing for the MCU. If you think about it, right? First of all, Soul Stone, or Vormir, just chucks out vibranium, lands on Earth, creates Wakanda, which they keep secret for almost the entire MCU up until only recently. Tesseract is then stored on Earth by Odin to keep safe, and then many years after that, Red Skull tries to use it, and then he is then ejected into space, but where exactly he lands on Vormir to protect the Soul Stone, or to guide people to use it, or just give them info on how to get it. And then many years after that, it is used to create a lightspeed engine, which then blows up, and the energy is absorbed by Carol Danvers, who also just ejects to space somewhere else. But, and this is where it gets really important, the second portal that the Tesseract ever makes is to help bring the Mind Stone to Earth with Loki. The pair don't stay there long because the Tesseract is almost traded and sent back to Earth and is kept in Asgard. But the Mind Stone is kept there for a period of time, during which the Reality Stone briefly visits Earth and then sent back to nowhere with the Collector. But while the Mind Stone is on Earth, it helps to create Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but really, really importantly, Ultron. And his main visions, which drives him so much, require vibranium. He wants to rebuild himself, and he uses vibranium to do so. And when that fails, when he doesn't get vision, when vision is turned against him, he creates himself from vibranium. And importantly, he has this vision of meteorites. He wants to turn Sokovia into a missile that will help destroy all of Earth and create an extinction level event, and he does it via vibranium. Why is he so possessed with meteorites? Why does he want to use vibranium to do it with? But when you think about it, how does Ultron know so much about vibranium? Yes, he could have learned it off S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secure files and learned that it's incredibly powerful, but would he also know about Wakanda? Maybe, maybe not, but he knows where to find the arms dealer. He buys a significant amount of vibranium to fulfill his vision. Alright, he wants to rebuild himself, but he also wants to create an extinction level event, and he does it with visions of meteorites. And it's kind of strange because if that's true, if the Soul Stone actually helped create vibranium and send its essence or its energy to Earth, it all kind of comes full circle a bit. Now, a big part of that Ultron movie was Vision picking up Thor's hammer. Does this mean that Vision himself is worthy? Does this mean that he's a machine? Or does this mean that the energy derived from the Soul Stone can actually fuel Vision and make him worthy because he is a soul that's worthy to pick up Thor's hammer? I don't know. But I feel like if they were to introduce this whole connection with the Soul Stone, it kind of makes sense. They left it up as a huge mystery up until now, and they made it seem like there's a hierarchy, and that the Soul Stone's at the top, and that it's one of the most important and demands the most respect. But when you think about it, if it's been playing this long game, it kind of makes sense. I just find it really strange that Ultron will have these visions of not only recreating himself, but creating that extinction level event that he dreams of with vibranium, only with vibranium. And it almost parallels the whole, theory that if vibranium came from the Soul Stone, it arrived on Earth through a meteorite. It arrived on Earth as a meteorite, and he almost wants to recreate that, or parallel it somehow. Right? The Russos even said themselves that Tony Stark is the heart and soul of the MCU. He's the heart and soul of the Avengers. And that's why I think it was so important for him to fight Thanos by himself, in a way, apart from the rest of the Avengers. Right? They wanted to show us a movie where he fails when he's not with them, but he can succeed when he's with his full team, his original team. And that whole, soul requires a soul to be used, I don't think that's a mistake either. I think that's a foreshadow for what's going to happen. I think that either Stark or maybe even Cap Rogers will have to, overcome their differences and forgive each other, or just work together, and then maybe one of them has to sacrifice the other so then they can use the Soul Stone and bring everyone back. But yeah, that's just a huge, long theory. I know I want to keep this video short, but I just feel like there's a huge connection with Vormir, the Soul Stone, vibranium, and this whole long game. Because even Thor said that someone's been playing an intricate game and making fools and pawns of everyone. And I think it might even go beyond Thanos. But yeah, I'm just gonna pop into the next question. Okay, so here it is. Will Vision be remade? They spent a lot of time in Infinity Wars trying to, analyze Vision, try and see if they can remove the Mind Stone without killing him. It'd be kind of a waste if they don't remake him in this one. He is made out of vibranium, and look, if they do bring back Vision, which I think they will they really keep the Mind Stone with him? I feel like that's a huge risk. That's just asking for trouble. They might have to power him some other way, maybe with some other technology. Stark has been in the energy industry for ages. Ever since Stark made the arc reactor, I mean, that's an incredible amount of energy that can last a long time. Maybe that can fuel Vision. I have no idea. Also, I mean, some of the trailers that we've seen for Endgame, I haven't seen Vision at all. So I don't know if they'll go back in time and recreate him that way, or if they'll just try and, recreate him like they did in Ultron, just the old-fashioned way, just kind of build him or rebuild him. Okay, here's a more of a big question as well, but guess I'll try and wrap it up fast. Is Thanos a puppet? Now, Thanos is incredibly driven. He's one of the most driven people in the MCU, and he stops at nothing to fulfill his goals. And he even thinks of it as like mercy, trying to fulfill it with the Infinity Stone instead of going everywhere and killing people painfully. But he's really driven by his experience. They gave a bit of his backstory in Infinity Wars for a reason, and I wonder if that was all premeditated by someone else. Because you think about it, that line that he gave to Stark, that he's not the only one cursed with knowledge, it's clear that both of them have been given, or are incredibly smart, but both of them have been given some sort of great amount of knowledge. Even Tony was somewhat manipulated by, Scarlet Witch, who was reinforced by the Mind Stone, and was given a vision to help create Ultron, which did this whole vibranium and vision stuff that influenced almost the entire Ultron movie. So that was essentially from the Mind Stone almost creating itself. But what about Thanos, though? I mean, he was like the only sole survivor from his race or from his people's planet. The entire planet was destroyed and he was the only one that survived. But this drove him so hard on his quest to balance out the rest of the universe and help him to create the Infinity Gauntlet and actually collect all stones. And I'm also wondering how the Mind Stone just fell into Thanos' lap. He had to get it from somewhere. Did he always have it? Was it on Titan itself, or was it somewhere else that he had to go pick it up? Or was it given to him? But what if the same thing that happened to Tony happened to Thanos as well? What happens if he was given a vision, he was given all these ideas, and when he tried to talk about it to the other people of Titan, the rest of his race, they ignored him, cast him out, his entire planet, everything gets destroyed, and it just drives him to help balance out the rest of the universe, to help protect the little essence of life that's left and make it sustainable. But he needs to do this through this quest of getting all the Infinity Stones. Because he could have easily gone around and just slaughtered half the people anyway, but he really tries to stress mercy by saying he can do it with a snap of fingers. Without all the killing and pain, he can just do it immediately. So I wonder if someone else has been manipulating Thanos in this whole entire thing, just as then they can have some sort of outcome. Which would mean that whoever's manipulating Thanos has to be a bigger villain. And I think we might get a hint of that at the end of the movie, or maybe during the movie. Now, a lot of big villains out there would be Galactus. He's, name dropped a lot. But there's a whole bunch of others. It could be the Elders of the Universe. I feel like the normal trend for Avengers movies is that they always introduce a villain, or they introduce a new step in the plan. Now, I know they're culminating an entire 10 years worth of films and storytelling, but that doesn't mean that they won't hint the next. And I feel like it would be strange to finish up this movie without hinting the next big villain, or at least fully wrapping up Thanos' one. I don't want him to get killed. I feel like Thanos won't die. He's too big of a character in the MCU. And if they kill him, I feel like it'll be kind of a waste, but they might, keep him alive. They might have to work with the Avengers, who knows? But I feel like he's not the biggest villain, or at least the last villain that we'll hear of in the MCU. Alright, this is probably like the last small question, I guess. Why doesn't Thanos' eyes glow when he uses a stone? It's a bit of a weird one. I mean, Ronin's glows a bit when he uses the Power Stone, even Quill's. But yeah, no one else really, their eyes don't really glow that much when they use a stone. Scarlet Witch's do, when she goes red, when she's using some of her powers, but yeah, no one else's. And even Vision's barely turns yellow. So yeah, Thanos' eyes don't seem to shine any color, they just stay the normal color. Okay, so now that I'm done with the questions, let's get into the quick predictions. These are just going to be small, little statements that I feel might, or most likely will happen in the movie. We'll see. Alright, first up, Captain Marvel will bite it. I feel like she's way too powerful. She was introduced really late in the MCU. I mean, she's the last film before Endgame. And in Captain Marvel, she was like flying through Kree's ships like they were nothing, like effortlessly just destroying them. So she's incredibly powerful. I'm pretty sure she's very foolhardy, just wants to go up against Thanos and fight him, beat him, win. And I feel like it won't go their way. I feel like she might actually just get killed instantly, and then the other Avengers like, whoa, we gotta back up. We gotta think about this creatively and smart, or stealthily, because I don't think going up against Thanos head on is gonna work. Alright, next one. Nebula might turn. I don't know, this is a bit of a weird one. I feel like, I mean, these stories are somewhat based on the comics, and I know they take a bit of a departure time to time, but there was a story, I think, with the Infinity Gauntlet and Nebula that she was the one that actually got it and became incredibly corrupted afterwards. And if you think about it, you can kind of see why. Oh, this is also a flashback to Captain Marvel. I did remember this one scene in the movie where the main Kree, like not the main Kree, where the main Skrull had a daughter, and when they were helping to escape off that ship or get away from the rest of the Kree, he said to the wife, "Cover her eyes," and her eyes are covered the first time that main Skrull guy like kills one of the guards or two of the guards. But then I found this kind of strange. But when he kills one of them, that mother's hand kind of slips and the daughter sees what's happened. And I don't think that was there for a mistake. I think that was very much on purpose. And I don't know if that's going to come back in Endgame. Some people have even theorized that that is Nebula. Probably doesn't know or remember that she's a Skrull, but I mean, it could explain how she gets along and... Not get along, but it could explain how she gets in and out of these crazy environments, almost undetectable. She just seems to squeeze in and just almost assimilate, and she always seems to infiltrate all these really highly secure areas, and even Thanos' ship. Sure, she knows it really well, but still. And she almost nearly killed Thanos. That's no easy feat. But if she's like a Skrull, I'm not sure if it's fully possible with the amount of like machinery that she is right now, but who knows. But yeah, I feel like that scene in Captain Marvel was strange and definitely on purpose. We might see the outcome of that soon. But anyway, back to the question. Yeah, Nebula might turn. I feel like it was weird that she was the only one out of the Guardians that really survived apart from Rocket. So that's no mistake. Of course, you know, Iron Man could have some company flying back to Earth, so we might see the purpose of that one. Also, I couldn't help noticing that there's some really powerful weapons just floating out in space, or potentially powerful weapons floating out in space. One of them being Heimdall's sword, so powerful enough that even Hela needed it to travel to other realms and wreak havoc. So that's still floating around, I guess, after the whole ship explosion that we saw at the start of Infinity War. And then there's also Ebony Maw. Now, Ebony Maw is incredibly powerful for a magic user. I mean, we've seen other magic users in the MCU, like those that use the mystic arts, like Doctor Strange and the Ancient One, but also like Scarlet Witch. But Ebony Maw's is almost completely telepathic. It's strange. It's almost like he's using magical objects rather than magic itself, because magic itself seems to have some sort of glow or substance to it, like either shields or some squiggly lines, but nothing for Ebony Maw. It seems all telekinetic, just floating. And what happens if this is coming from the rings that he has? Now, he has a lot of rings, but not 10. I don't think he has 10. He's got like 8. But he is floating out there somewhere in space, and if his magic does come from the rings, what happens if those rings were to land on Earth? Because the real Mandarin is out there. It's not the Trevor Slattery guy. There's an actual real Mandarin, and if they follow the whole All Hail the King storyline, then yeah, the Mandarin could be real, could pick up these rings, and might become incredibly powerful. It's been a terrorist organization up until now, and it could explain why it's been so quiet and not so prevalent, but if the rings happen to land there on Earth, then that's a really big, you know, villain that I guess Iron Man or anyone else can actually face in the future of the MCU. But yeah, that's just like another small theory. Not sure if it's going to become relevant anytime in the future, but it could. Okay, time travel will be a thing. Yeah, this is a well-traveled theory as it is. It's pretty obvious. They brought it up in Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was just like a throwaway comment, but why bring it up if it's not necessary at all? I felt like Ant-Man and the Wasp was just used for like pretty much a statement movie because a lot of it was filler. But yeah, I feel like there's a reason why they have the whole time vortices thing, and I think they're going to use it. So time travel will definitely be a thing. They're going to have to reverse the snap somehow. Next question, or next prediction. Doctor Strange planned all this, and he knew that they couldn't win unless they were all together. This is an incredibly obvious one. Everyone knows this. Has been on YouTube. Almost every single YouTube channel that covers the MCU have done like, I don't know, 20 videos on this very topic, and the content doesn't change much. It's essentially the same. Like, there's no way that Doctor Strange was just going to give him the Time Stone for no reason. A lot of people are saying that the Gauntlet was affected by a time loop spell. They did introduce the whole time loop concept in Doctor Strange, but there's a possibility that there might be some sort of time-gated event on his Gauntlet, or the whole snap. So, yeah, definitely Doctor Strange saw the victory in the 14,605 possibilities, so he definitely played along to exactly its whim. I mean, he was even looking at Thanos when he took the stone, almost like, take the bait. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the thing. So yeah, Doctor Strange definitely planned it. We will see more of him in the next coming movie. Okay. Yep, Snap will get reversed entirely, that's the thing. Ooh, a new threat will be revealed. So this goes back to the whole, like, next big villain or big threat for the MCU. I think we're going to see that. Thanos isn't the end. He's just the first couple of phases, and they need something else to focus on, and they will build up into it in time, but I don't think Thanos is the big villain. They made him more relatable in this one for a reason, so I think that was on purpose. They don't want to make him like a typical villain. But there's a lot of people putting their money on Galactus. I wouldn't be surprised, but we could see it. Okay, so that's pretty much all the important questions and predictions that I wanted to get off my chest going into Endgame. I don't know if any of them will get addressed when I watch it. Maybe, maybe not. But I feel like more of the Soul Stone stuff will get uncovered or make more sense. I mean, it's a 3-hour movie, so there's a lot of content to get through, and I feel like they can explain it. They can come full circle for this thing, and a lot of things do in the MCU, so I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely missed out some stuff. I probably should have prepared this video a lot earlier, but I always leave things to the last minute. Anyway, guys, I just want to say a big thank you for, staying back, watching this video. Hope you guys get to watch Endgame, really enjoy it, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Bye.